to his will, that our children may be put back in divine alignment. I want to bring the greetings of His Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Rigathi Gachagua. He knew I was visiting, and he asked me to bring his greeting to the church. I also have staff who have come with me. They can stand, you just see them. These are the people that work with me. Clap for them. Thank you very much. I also have my daughter, Catherine Kerigo. There she is. Thank you. I know you know I have 2 boys, but I also have Kerigo with me, the daughter of the late brother from South Africa. So she's my daughter, authentically. You can clap for her. I came today, and sometimes when I think of what has brought us here, my heart is very heavy, and I don't want to talk much. One of the things that can destroy a nation is when good men sleep. Is when a good church sleeps. It is when parents who are good sleep on their job. It is when God commands us to go and we sit ye. It is when we can be in the comfort of 4-world church when the world is destroyed out there. It is when we who have been called have power and authority to release people from chains and to bring healing to the people. We stay within the 4 walls and we build strong structures instead of building the souls of men. It is very sad. And that is why, because we did not go, we sat inside the walls, that Satan has been executing his agenda ruthlessly on our children. Today, wherever you go in every town, you will find them. They are carrying sacks. They are dirty. They are greasy. Makuite makonia. Mena plastic. Mehakite rami. Those are the future of our nation. We call them names. We call them chokoras. We call them makangas. We call them everything you want to call them. But those are the children made in God's image, in God's likeness, and it was our responsibility, you and I, to go out there and deliver them from the hand of Satan. My office, when I came to office, I decided to go for 4 pillars. The first pillar is the boy child, the one who is in drug, in alcohol, in all manner of problems and challenges. And I don't mind. I have said time and again, call them my children. And when I go there, regardless of how clean or how dirty they are, I hug them. And I love them. And I want you to help me love my children. That is the reason I called you, because I want you to help me love my children. Because love is everything. If you can love, it means you can give God. And if you give God, all things are possible. Mark chapter 4, verse 35 reminds us there is a storm that is brewing somewhere, and we need to go to calm the stone. So, in Mark 4, verse 35, it says, that day, when evening came, he said to his disciples, let us go over to the other side. Jesus was always going somewhere. He was never sitting down. He was going somewhere to do good. And he was going somewhere to heal somebody. He was going somewhere to raise the dead. He was going somewhere to make somebody happy. He was the one, whenever there was a funeral arranged for someone, he would go and remove that child from the casket and would make the funeral become a celebration. That is the Christ that we follow if we call ourselves Christians. So he says, let us go to the other side. Those of us who have read that, there was a storm that blew and the disciples were in trouble. And even when they saw their Lord, they were afraid. But he told them not to be afraid, to have faith. Because they had work to do, and the work needed faith. This work that we are about to do about the boy child who is in drug, in substance abuse, it requires faith. Nyokwenda wetekio morikeru. Wetekio ke. And it needs people not to sit down. Now we must go over. Jesus told the disciples, let's go over. Not let's sit here. And when you go to Mark chapter 5, verse 4 and 5, you will know why they were going over. It says, for he had, after Mark 5, 4 to 5 says, for he had often been chained. That was the reason he was going over. There was a man who was possessed by demons, a man who was chained and lived in the graveyards. He was as dirty as those young men of mine that you see out there. He used to cut himself. People would chain him like you chain them with your opinions, with your judgment, with your prejudice. You chain them down. And they stay in the graveyard because and even they themselves, with their drinking, they chain themselves. So Mark 5, 4 to 5 says, for he had often, this man I'm talking about, the boy child of that time, for he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. These boys of ours, you see them out there. Everybody has tried everything. Nothing is working. Because we are trying the wrong formula. We must apply the right. And what is a formula? Mark 5, verse 19 to 20. Jesus did not let him, but said, go home. This man, after no one could subdue him, he was cutting himself. He was held with chains and irons. He would break them. He had power to break them. Then one day when Jesus comes over with his disciples, he sees them. He sees the Son of God. And he bowed to Jesus. And he wanted to follow Jesus because he had broken the chains. He had removed the evil spirit. And this is what Jesus said to him. Jesus did not let him, that is, follow him, but he said, go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. So the man went away and began to tell the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed. In the graveyard, in the opinions of people, this was a madman. But inside that man, inside that boy child out there, is a bishop of 10 cities. We have been in the church, and everybody is fighting about congregants. The church is in the gutter. Go and preach and bring the souls to the house of God. Build the spirit house of God. Let's raise money to build the spiritual house. For indeed we have done so many. So who will be coming to this church if our children are dead? Many of us who have obeyed the commandment of God, because this is a very serious crisis we are going through. Where do you find men? The first place you are going to find men is in the dens, drunk and moving like zombies. The other ones are in the bars where they say that it is good wines and spirit. Few come even to the house of God, my bishop. They are full of wine and spirit, not with the Spirit of God. When you go anywhere, even when there is Parents' Day, you only find women. True or false? Church meetings, women. And you have not asked yourself, what is eating what? How would it be when you go to Parents' Day? The parent is a woman. When you call any gathering, it is women. When you go anywhere, wathiĩ kũndũ guothe, nĩ atumia ndigwa everywhere. So you get them in the dance, they are drunk, they are like zombies, many of them. The next place you are going to find them is prisons. I've been there. They are full there. 80%, in fact 90%, behind bars. Out of 61,000 inmates, about 58,000 are men. Families, 58,000 fathers are behind bars. Potential of this nation is behind bars. And you ask yourself why the economy is doing badly. Of course, that is the reason, one of the reasons. The next place you find them, it is in the wards. Sick, broken bones. They were drunk and driving. They have had accidents. We have even innovated ways of accommodating them. We have boda wards everywhere, and we are still silent. And if you go there, most of the people whose bones are broken, the backbones are broken, are my boy children. From there, go to the mortuary. They are full there. And we are silent. The satanic agenda is going on without anyone averting it. And I'm very glad to our bishop here, who saw it many years ago and started working. I wish and I pray o mwe witu aya tuikarite haha no athie kuria vara oe anake 10 moke kanitha-ini waku kuri uhoyagira Ngai umete umathambie wajie kwaria nao, you mentor them. then the church offering is used to pay them, provide employment for them, so that they can stay around you and you can mentor them, you can disciple them and make them men enough so that they can go out there and change the world. This cannot be done by everybody. It can only be done by people who are full of love. For the Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 8 to 13, love never fails. Even if your child is how bad, even if this boy child and this girl child who are in drugs are how bad, your love as a church should never fail them. But where there are prophecies, I talked about prophets, where there are prophecies, that will cease. This is a Bible. They will cease. You can prophesy, but those prophecies will cease. It goes on to say, where there are tongues, even if we spoke in tongues, the language of God